housing and holistic services for adults, families, and youth. Hacienda was founded in 1986 in the Coley neighborhood and has grown to support many communities that face barriers throughout urban and rural Oregon. And through innovative approaches and high impact partnerships, we develop affordable housing and provide client centered services and programs that enable people to thrive, achieve their dreams of home ownership, entrepreneurship, which is this program, and also education.
Great. Good. I can go ahead and do this part. So who is the Empresarios basically? I mean, like Juan mentioned, we are the Empresarios. We're part of Hacienda. We're a small branch that is basically the entrepreneurship or economic develop as part of the bigger economic opportunity program. We, the Empresarios program, provide personalized technical assistance to launch, stabilize, and grow food, beverage, and consumer packaged good businesses. We provide holistic one-on-one business support to clients, along with access to capital, financial coaching, branding, marketing, strategy, and other potential direct sales opportunities in both English and Spanish. Again, I just wanted to reiterate that although our services of one-on-one are focused specifically to this industry, we do offer training such as this one or the social media trainings, and then a future training to come, which is the AI basics to anyone of any industry. So again, you don't necessarily need to be part of these industries to be able to participate in these trainings. However, to receive the one-on-one support, you do need to be part of these industries. So I just wanted to make that clear that, we welcome anyone from any industry. However, to be part of the actual program and receive one-on-one training, there are a few requirements, which you can find out more by joining our Camino a mi Negocio info sessions, which we host once per month. If you have more questions about that, you can follow our Instagram at Hacienda CDC, or you can just be on the lookout for more details in tomorrow's email, where I will send a link for you to register to that event.
And now I would like to introduce the team here at Empresarios. We have Leticia Cervantes, who is the Director of Innovation at Hacienda CDC. We also have here tonight Melina Romero, who's the Program Manager, Alex Valle, the Program Coordinator, and myself, Business Advisor for the Empresarios team.
All right. So yeah, now let's just talk a little bit about what we're gonna do. So again, like I said, like we've mentioned many times, this one is gonna focus on the basics of website design. Now we will be transitioning into the basics of that. Before thinking about what platforms or pricings, we must understand what is the strategy behind why you need a website, right? So that's kind of like what we're gonna focus on first, and then we'll be able to talk and compare the options for you. So first, let's just understand what are your goals. What are your goals for your websites? Common goals simply include online sales, selling products directly to customers, events, whether you want to promote an event or something specific, information and news, like if you just want to basically use the platform to provide or update your clients or the general public, and any other reasons they may have. We can maybe open up the opportunity for you to share if you have any ideas. But basically, these are some of the basic reasons why someone may need a website. I guess if anyone has any ideas on why else you may need a website, you can unmute yourself and give us your opinion. Otherwise, we would just move forward.
Yeah, I would like to encourage people in the chat as well if you want to participate. If you already have a goal for a website, you can type it and let us know like what is your goal for having a website, right? I think there's many good benefits of having a website, which we're gonna see on the next slide. But yeah, let's see, some of them are right here. So SEO, search engine optimization. It is basically, this is going to be the thing that makes it easier for you and your brand to appear on the search functions on, like, let's say Google or Now people are doing like ChatGPT as a search engine as well. So like all of the search is basically like a set of rules that you gotta like play by in order to make sure that you appear at the top of the search. And that is going to drive sales as well, because if people just look up whatever is the name of your product, or maybe like your brand name, and you show up, they're going to be more likely to buy from you than from others. Easy to use on a mobile phone. Yeah, you got to make sure that your website looks good both on desktop and on the phone. I think like most of the sites right now already handle this pretty well, so you don't have to worry too much about it, but at least make a test to see like how they compare. Hook the client. It's important for the customers, to guide your customers. Exactly. Like I remember hearing someone talking about e-commerce, and they were saying that there are customers that take 3 seconds to decide, and for them, you got to tell them what it is. And then there's customers that decide in 3 minutes, and for them, you got to tell them like, okay, what it is, how do you use it, how does it benefit you, right? They want to maybe know a little more information. And then the other type of customer is the one that decides 30 minutes, and for them, you got to give them like the background, right? So like, it's very important for you to try to like represent your brand through the website, and because you're not there to talk to the customer, right? You gotta be able to like tell your story and hook your client. And also you got to focus on aesthetics and accessibility. The colors that are like maybe representative of your brand, you got to like always stay true to that. If you have photos, are super useful, like photos of you in action, like maybe making the product or selling the product. Descriptions of everything that you are offering, and yeah, make it appealing. Like obviously, like you don't have to have the best skills in the world, as long as you do something that like I think you feel like it works, or you could hire somebody to do it for you. Like those are some pretty good solutions for your business website.
Yep, exactly. And just I just want to add on, I think what you mentioned earlier about ensuring that your website looks good on a mobile phone is probably one of the most important parts. Just because you could have the most beautiful looking website on a computer, and then if you go on the web on the mobile device and it's hard to navigate, the fonts are all off, you can't find the links and all of that. It's gonna throw your customers off. And I guarantee that a high number of people who are going to your website are gonna be using their mobile devices. And so like Juan said, if you're not sure how to do this, sometimes the best way to do it is just to hire someone to build your website. However, we will be talking about the cost in the few slides.
Alex, we have a question in the not in the chat, excuse me. It looks like Letty has her hand raised. Letty, if you'd like to go ahead and unmute yourself, feel
Mhm.
free to go ahead and ask your question.
¿Está bien si es en español?
Sí.
Sí, ok. Mire, yo apenas tengo bueno, voy a cumplir 2 años en julio que empecé mi negocio de cuidado infantil y como todo emprendedor quiere todo rápido y pues no funciona así, entonces me refiero a que busqué a una persona que me ayudara a tener un sitio web y todo funcionó, diría yo bien, en el sentido de que pues yo podría ver el anuncio o unas fotos que puso hasta ahí, pero solamente lo hizo en español y tuve reseñas de que querían en inglés y eso era lo que se estaba tratando. Pero después resulta de que se acabó la membresía o no sé qué cosa se pagó y ahorita no funciona porque no lo pagué. Entonces mi pregunta que iba es que para tener un sitio web, yo tengo que estar pagando constantemente por los derechos de tener un sitio web, porque ese detalle era como que no me quedó muy claro.
Do you want to answer, Alex? I mean, I have some thoughts. Maybe you want to go after me, but uh, the first one it would be I think you do have to pay for the at least the domain, right? But I don't think it should be like a big amount. I think it should be more close to like $12 a year. And then also, if you're paying for a service of a platform, you also pay. So, for example, if you have a business website with Shopify, I know that you do owe Shopify like a monthly fee. So I do know about that. Um, Another thing that why I would recommend this, and we're going to talk about it there later, is like how to build a website. Maybe like if you have a little basic notion of like where things are in like the website editor, you could also do some changes if that's what you want to do. So I think those are my main thoughts when with your question. Do you have anything else to add, Alex?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, so when you are, so yeah, you're definitely right about the URL that you have to pay yearly. That's a given. There's no way around it really, because what you're basically paying is it's kind of like your registration fee, right? You gotta register your business ever so often. It's the same way that it's the same thing that you gotta do online. So that's kind of just a way of verifying and ensuring that no one else can take that name, right? So there's some kind of entity out there that controls who owns what name, what URL. So what you're paying is the right of only you being able to use that, right? So that's why you have to pay for a URL. The website host, you don't always have to pay this if you're a coder. What this means is that there are free hosting platforms. However, you need a lot of knowledge and expertise to be able to do this without having to pay. And this requires a lot of coding, and basically you have to like structure your whole website alone. When you are using a provider, you're actually paying the accessibility and the use of their software, which hosts your website, right? So it's almost like you're paying to be able to like be in their to use their tools. So they have a bunch of tools and resources in that platform which simplify your life so that you don't have to be a coder to have a website. So what you're paying basically is that accessibility, and also when it comes to SEO and being found online, sometimes being on a platform that's verified, that's trusted, that people know of will help you and will help the search engines trust your website more because your website is like verified, right? When you create it yourself, there's a lot of things that could go wrong, and potentially even possibilities of like breaches with like cybersecurity things. So I would highly encourage that yes, you do pay a membership. However, there's different scales and different amounts for different hosts. So maybe you were just not in the right one if all you needed was a very simple website. And which is what we're going to talk about in a few slides, is how to determine which host is the best for you depending on the cost and what those costs get you, basically.
And Alex, I also want to add, we will talk about the specific costs of all of the different hosts, or not all of them, but like the main ones. We'll talk about it on the presentation, and there you will also see the amount. And the reason why I was asking like if it was a big amount or not is because if you're going through like a third party, they might be charging you more because they need like a cut, right, from like the service that they're doing. So if you're able to do it directly with like the website providers, you might save some money as well. So yeah, we'll talk about it later.
Awesome. All right, so let me just jump into this slide that I'm currently showing. Basically, as Juan mentioned, a lot of what you need on the website itself, he mentioned. However, how do you make this all come together, right? How do people know it's a brand? How do people know it's your brand, your company? And for that, there's a few things that go in play that, that kind of need to work together to be able to show this unity and this idea of brand, or what we call brand identity, right? Brand identity is how people are able to recognize something and know it's from someone or something, simply by either looking at a logo, a symbol, a typography, which is kind of like the type of fonts that you use, your colors, your names, slogans, even language can be something that you could use as branding, or even things that are auditory or even smell, actually. So all of that comes into play when it comes to branding. However, branding is such a big topic that we actually, I would say, need a whole presentation about it. However, we are going to touch a little bit more about what each of these mean in the next slide. Um, Juan, do you want
Sorry, I
to?
was muted. Yeah. One of
Mhm.
the main things about that you're going to be able to use to communicate things on your website are photos, images, and video. Sorry.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah. So these are going to be your tools that you're going to use to like communicate your brand, your story. You can see here we have an example of Pistachio. So if you go on their website, you can see them, you can read their story, you can see their product like being used in a variety of ways. So they are communicating what their product and their brand is all about we with photos, images, and video, which are going to be like the most powerful tools for you to get to your customer. Since, like I said before, you're not able to speak with them directly, you're not able to offer them a sample, right? Like the only way you can like convince them to buy your product is through the use of these tools.
And just to add to this, basically, I want to mention something. Having a website should be not the first thing you do as a business, right? I think that by the time you have a website, you're basically ready to put your product out and to reach customers in a proper way, which means that, like Juan mentioned, you should already have pictures of your product or services, right? You should already have a brand with branding colors, whether you chose, whatever color you chose, or whether you chose whatever font you chose. All of that should already be predetermined. And like I mentioned, branding is a big topic that I think if you aren't aware, you should really look into it, how to create proper branding. But by the time you get to this website, this is how kind of like the kind of thing you should have, right? You should have the colors and all of this, and everything looks cohesive and you could recognize it as part of one. So I just wanted to like re-mention how important it is to already have these things so that when the person or yourself goes to create the website, you have all the assets you need to be able to properly build it, right? You don't want to basically go and build your website without having pictures or without having your logo or without knowing what kind of font represents your brand, right? And so there's a lot of ways that you could get branding done. A lot of the times what happens is you could actually just pay a graphic designer to create a branding package for you. And this branding package, what it does is it kind of gives you all the assets that you need to then be able to provide it to your web developer or web designer to be able to create your website, right? And then aside from all of this, like images and content, you will also need what is called like the script behind it. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. But let's just continue for now. All right. So, I mean, one of the things I just mentioned clearly, having a logo, right? Again, if you don't have a logo, that's totally fine. This is something that you could request or purchase from a graphic designer, or you could just make it yourself. It doesn't necessarily have to be professional at first. You can always do that later on. There's a lot of options to get a logo going nowadays, like such as AI and a bunch of other options. However, there's a bunch of like conceptions, thoughts, ideas, or opinions behind the usage of AI. So I'll let you be the judge on that as to whether you use it or not. But yeah, here's a great example. This is Salsas del Barrio, Juan's truly salsa matcha company. As you can see, his logo functions in different ways, right? He has the logo, which is a PNG with a clear background. This is going to be great, for example, using it on menus or perhaps dropping it on a flyer or doing certain things. Then he has like this idea or branding or imagery that's cohesive to his logo. As you can see, like the watercolor look to the letters matches the watercolor look to the backgrounds and to the drawings and all of that. And if put together, you can see that they look like they belong together, right? Like they were done by the same artist. This is what you want to achieve behind branding. You want to achieve cohesiveness. And again, if for example you have like a logo made with this font, but then you place it on this, you can see that it kind of doesn't go together, right? And again, like I said, branding is a whole different thing. It's a whole different beast that you need to kind of like do more research on. However, it is something that I would highly encourage you to hire a graphic designer to do, especially if you have no knowledge or expertise on like color theory, and like dimensions and all of these usages. for what a logo should be used and what it should look like.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add that if we go back to the previous slide, you almost always see like logos made out of like two elements, one being the letters and one being like the image or like their little, like Nike has like the swoosh, and then like Apple has like the apple. So you're going to want to have like those versions of the logo because they have different uses, like you mentioned, Alex. Like for example, and if it's like a really tiny, you might want to have like just the image, right? Like if it's like okay, maybe bigger, you can have the combination of them. So I think like I just wanted to like say the reasoning behind having like the letters separate from the image and then and them combined because there's uses for all of them, right? So yeah, we can move on to the colors now and how to choose colors for your brand. I guess you could like, there's a lot of resources on like color psychology and like branding. We have a little bit here just to like get you interested in that. So if you are thinking of like how are you going to choose the color for your website or how are you going to choose the color for your brand, right? You might want to do some research on that. But here we have some something that suggests that like for example, red is something that increases appetite, it creates urgency, and it's used by McDonald's, KFC. Yellow conveys happiness and closeness, also used by McDonald's and Subway. Orange invites impulse eating, it's fun and it's playful, like Fanta. Green suggests health, freshness, or sustainability. It's what is used by Whole Foods and Starbucks. Blue is rare in food. It's more like a tech color, but it also conveys cleanliness or confidence. Brown is a sense of warmth, home, tradition. Chocolate brands like Hershey's uses it. And then black and white is more of like premium, clean, minimalist. So yeah, there's a lot more you can research about this. So if you want to do your own research, I highly recommend it. Just to maybe for it to be easier for you to like pick a color that will represent your brand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and again, yeah, like Juan said, I think color theory is something that's tough to kind of like understand, especially if you have no like artistic background behind it. So for that reason, there are tools which we'll talk about right now. For example, this website which is called Colors or Colors, however you pronounce that.
Lawrence?
This is just a generator basically of colors, color palettes that will choose colors that work well together, right? Because the thing is behind colors, there's certain colors that just look weird together. And I mean, I'm pretty sure you have noticed like yourself, there's certain colors that you're just like, ah, that doesn't match, like that doesn't look good or it doesn't look good on a t-shirt. And so what this website it has done is it basically creates various palettes, which you can just be like, okay, I like that. Maybe I could use the yellow for this, the website for this, my logo on this. And so it creates codes. And ultimately, what you need behind the color palette is the little codes that you get. And I mean, I'm gonna get a little technical right now, but whether that's like the RGB or the CMYK or whatever color codes, like the Pantone codes, by having these codes to specific colors, you can pass those codes on to your web developer, and then he will ensure that you use the exact colors that you use on every other thing on your website, right? So what this is going to do is it's going to create that cohesion and it's going to help you be identifiable even just by your colors. Especially like if you use very unique colors that you rarely see in your industry, which will help you kind of like differentiate yourself from your competition, right? Because sometimes being like outstanding or being like different is also maybe a good thing. Sometimes it may be a bad thing. So it's really important to take a look and to consider colors and to see various options. Like no one's forcing you to use a specific color. So feel free to try different colors out. Like see what a person may look like under a certain color, or what a product may look like under a different color. I would say the best thing to do, and it's kind of like part of an ideation process, is like playing with colors and your packaging and how would that look on a t-shirt. Oh, how would it look on a big board, on a printed pamphlet, anything like that. Just be creative, be free. I think this is the fun part of creating your brand, is when you start choosing the colors, because at the end of the day, if it represents you and it represents what you stand for and what your products stand for, then people are going to get that message, and then they're going to get to know you simply by just something as simple as the colors.
Yeah, and I think this is a great tool because let's say you go and pick yellow, right? For your brand. You can't make a website with just yellow, right? So you might want to see like what are the other options that go with it so that you can build out the other elements that will pop and like contrast with the yellow that you've chosen. So yeah, great resource. Let's move on to the next slide. And we're gonna talk about how to choose a name. So the name might be something that is easy to type, might be just your brand, honestly, like the name of your brand.com. If that's available, that could be like a good usage of like your domain. Keep it short, avoid like it. I mean, maybe like if your name is like really long, maybe you want to just do the acronym, right? That could maybe help you keeping it short. Avoid numbers. You don't want to be tortas 1, 2, 3. You want to be tortas, right? So really, like if that's taken, maybe try tortas PDX. Maybe try like I don't know something that's like more unique. Maybe like I said before, your brand name. And also like check online. You could use like the USPTO to see if like there is a trademark with your name. You could use just like regular Google search to make sure that there's not something that's going to be super similar and might be able to create confusion with your brand, right? So try to do your research before you pick a name.
Yeah, I like that last part that you mentioned, Juan. I think if you go check what names are already registered under your industry, it will also help you kind of differentiate yourself, right? You don't want the same name for someone who's, let's just say, I don't know, a coffee stand. You don't want to have the same name and be in the same market with the same name, right? So do your research before you choose your name. The other thing is make sure that your name on social medias are available, right? Because ultimately, if you can have the same name on every platform, that would be like the prime thing. So say for example, I don't know, like Juan said, Tortas PDX. If you notice that someone else already has that, well then maybe think of something else before you commit to buying like a URL for your website. Because again, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but think about it. If your website is called Tortas PDX, and then someone's like, oh, maybe that's what they are. And then they go on Instagram to try to find you. Logically, they're going to try to type Tortas PDX, but it's a different business that has it, right? It doesn't make sense. So think about it. I would first start by looking at what names are already registered in your industry, making sure that no one has the name that you're choosing. After you choose that, then go on social media and see if those names are available. Once you kind of claim those names on social media, whether that's Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, or whatever, then go check a domain name with that name and then kind of be like, okay, now I got all of them the same, right? And then now you'll be sure that people only got to remember one name to be able to find you on all platforms.
Alex, we have a question in the chat from Molly. She's
Mhm.
asking, is
I was
there a way?
already Sorry, I was gonna type the answer, but I guess I'll just say it out loud. Yeah, you could try the search function on the Oregon Secretary of State. You could search a business by name there, and that is just for Oregon. If you want to search it for the entire U.S., you could search, or I mean, even countries that have intellectual property treaties with the U.S. will also appear in the database of the USPTO. You can go to uspto.gov and you can search for like business names there that are trademarked.
And then yeah, for social media, that's so like I said, that would be the first step I would take, the place one just recommended. Then the second step I would take is visit this website called Name Checker. And we kind of put this link on the social media training. We talk a little bit more about how to choose a proper name. But you can just kind of type that name checker, and then there you were able to put whatever name, and it'll tell you every platform and whether it's available or not. If someone could remind me from the team, maybe make a note, I will include that link in the email tomorrow so that you guys can have that as a tool. And then let me continue. All right. So again, I guess we can just talk a little bit about statistics. This is kind of like, the statistics part. But I think statistics are a valuable thing because they show you what works and what doesn't, right? So 93% of websites have a logo at the top corner. A logo again helps you know where you're at, what website you're on, what website you're scrolling through, right? And usually most businesses place it like somewhere up here or somewhere up here, right? They place it somewhere where it's easy to see and where it will scroll down the page. You don't really use the slogan, you only use the simple, like the direct logo, because you don't want something busy. And also the image does get compressed. So just keep in mind that it has to be like a small file that would be placed there. And the website hosts, they usually have requirements as to the kind of file that you need to upload. So, you can't really upload a big file even if you wanted to. 90% of websites also have a horizontal bar to navigate. Again, that's just like the navigation aspect of the websites. If you're paying for a host, you don't got to worry about anything because guess what? They already have a structure to how the websites are built. And again, this is what you're paying when you're paying for a host. You're paying for the overall structure, and all you're doing is you're plugging your pieces and you're changing colors, and you're almost playing like kind of like I don't know, kind of like Legos on a digital manner where you're just kind of basically trying to create things that make your website unique but easy to use, right? So again, a lot of 90% of websites, I would say honestly, almost 100% in my opinion. But that's just my opinion. 42% of pages, oh, I don't know why that's in Spanish. I'm sorry. Uh, so 42% of pages, show
Comparisons.
show carousels, right? Or basically little PowerPoints of the images that just slide. Despite the frequent use of these, the nowadays I think things are so optimized in the quality of phones. They have such powerful processors that now they don't lag as much as in the past. In the past, a lot of people will tell you, "Oh, only use still images. Don't do animated graphics or don't do carousels because it will make your website lag." Nowadays, that's not the issue because phones have gotten so powerful that they're almost like a computer. You could almost like, yeah, they're almost as strong as a computer. So I would say green light on the slideshows. Go ahead and use as many images as you want. Showcase as many creative things as you want in whatever ways that you can. And again, here's an example of what we were talking about, right? This is our website, Hacienda CDC's website. Here's our logo that we were referring to. As you can see, it's very simple, very clear. We have our navigation menu, which goes along here. This is the navigation bar. We have two navigation bars, if you actually notice. This is one here, which is the main overall programs, and then they get down into a little bit more detail. And then below we have this image, which is a carousel, and it automatically switches and just, kind of like this presentation, it automatically switches and showcases various things that we may want. A lot of what we do or our communications teams does is that they change the images depending on what's going on in the company, right? If we have an event, we update it so that it's the first thing you see. Or if we have various things happening, then we update it so that they show all things, and you could control the speed of how quick these things change. And again, it's just like almost like a bullet board where you're able to showcase something immediately. And so yeah.
And then we're going to talk about what is copy. Copy is basically text, the text that appears on your website. Why is this important? Because it is what like the search engine optimization tools pick up to display your website and like show it up at the top of the search. So for example, if you have written down on your web page, tacos in St. John's, then when people search for that, you're gonna show up, right? So you want to make sure that like the copy, like you maybe look at the different copy templates that we have. I think those might link to a SharePoint, but maybe we'll be able to share them as well. But basically, just make sure that all of the descriptions that you can use, you do use, and the more you repeat, like maybe like your location, your products, the services that you offer, the easier and the more it will, I guess, like help you with the search engine, as well as also like backlinks, meaning like if you are mentioned in another website, then you also are gonna be potentially like higher up on the search. So for example, let's say a certain website makes a post about you, or like a newspaper, or like an article, or like a food blog, or whatever, like other pages like post about you, and then link your website on their website. That'll improve your search engine optimization as well. That is something that you could, I mean, either earn, like if you're really good and like someone makes an article about you, or you could also pay for it. Like there's ways for you to like pay for advertising on other websites, and this is going to help your SEO a lot. So that's also those going to drive sales.
Exactly. There's a few links here that you'll be able to click once you receive the presentation. They're just guides as to like the proper way to create this copy, basically. I think copy, we could just call it the draft, in my opinion. Like just call it like the draft of everything, right? Like if you had to sit down and describe every page and you had to like type out what goes on every page, that's basically what copy is. You're basically just creating a draft of what text is gonna live all throughout your website, right? And like Juan was mentioning, you want to be repetitive as to the words and the kind of like language that you use, even when others people write about you. And again, tools here if you want to click through those. But let's hit next. I can just talk about this. Like I said, we won't really go into the details of AI. We do have a presentation coming though, so be on the lookout for this information. But AI, a lot. It's a heavy topic to some. I'm really pro AI, although I'm not pro kind of like the effects of AI on various things. But I think that for small business owners who are very limited in the knowledge, money, and resources that we have, it is something that we should learn to adapt to just because it does simplify things. It does help us with a lot of things, right? For a really cheap price. Like we just said, the copy, like how do you know that you're using the proper terminology, like the most searched words online, right? You have no way of knowing this. You're no expert on like web development, but if you go to like AI, you can just simply put like, hey, generate like here, generate this name for me, generate a slogan, write an attractive product description, change the tone of this language, right? You can make it compare different tones or ask it like, hey, what's more searchable, this word versus this word? What should I use for this description? And so what I would do is just use it carefully, review, always review and change perhaps a little bit, make it more human, add your twist to whatever answers you get from chat or from whatever AI option you're using. But like I said, I think that in today's day, especially for small business owners who really are limited in resources, this is a huge tool that you can benefit from. And if you don't know how to use this, ask someone. I'm pretty sure a lot of family members around you use it more than you would expect. Some people keep it a secret, but I guarantee that if you ask for the help, they'll be able to help. Molly, yes, most AI tools are free to a limited capacity, right? Some give you only a limited amount of outputs, meaning they will only answer like 5 questions before they ask you, like, oh, you've reached your limit. Now do you want to pay? Some are like photo generators that only generate a few images before you have to pay. I personally pay for mine. The reason why I pay is because when you pay, it serves almost like as a cloud drive as well, where it remembers everything you've talked about. It remembers all of the documents you've uploaded. It remembers all of the changes you've made to a document. And so it's very easy to go back and be like, hey, do you remember a month ago when I brought this up? Well, things have changed now, and I want you to take this into consideration. Give me a rebrand of this, right? Or like give me new ideas based on the new changes. When you're using the free versions, that can't happen because your information is not stored anywhere. But I guess with the being stored idea, there's also like security concerns, all which we will address in our AI presentation.
I do want to add some stuff to that. I think like to your first point, you should use it as like a brainstorming tool mostly because it does have like a very like a boring tone. It's like very flat. It's not very good at like writing stuff, honestly. Even though you like at first we thought it was good, but like there's like very easy. It is very easy to tell based on its tone. So you might want to use it for like brainstorming. You're going to like want to like change some stuff. I wouldn't recommend just like straight up putting the output of one of this generative AIs and just like having it that be your final product. Um, there are a ton of free AI tools. Not you don't have to use these ones right here. Like honestly, if you just put up AI on your search engine, like there's so many products nowadays. You could use any of them, and they're free. And like you know what they say about when the product is free is because the product is yourself. So also like be very careful with what you tell it and what information you share. Don't like just imagine that anything that you put there is like as if you were putting it out on social media. And there are also tools in the settings of these programs to like protect your privacy more. Like let's say like you could say to not use your data to train other models. That's like one step towards privacy. But yeah, also definitely just like use your common sense when like using these tools. They're not your buddy. It's just a tool that is going to be able to use. You're going to be able to use to like facilitate your business work from every day.
Mhm. And yeah, so more importantly, do your research and then yeah, educate yourself and then yeah, ask for help.
Now, this is the descriptions. It is in a way of copy. Descriptions are going to be very useful for you. Very important for your website. They get picked up by the search engine algorithms. But not only that, like as a customer, like imagine I'm experiencing your brand through your website, right? I'm going through like your e-commerce pipeline and like how are you to convince me to buy your product? So you gotta like talk about it, you gotta explain what it is, why is it that it's gonna like solve my needs, why do I need to spend my money on this? So descriptions are very important as much as like you have videos and photos like we mentioned earlier, like also like text description telling your story, like all of this is going to be um working towards like the goal of like telling the story and explaining to the customer why your product or your service is so awesome that they need to get it, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I just to look like, for example, at this example as Ben and Jerry's, you can see their descriptions aren't super long. Like the idea is not that you have to put everything on the description, because maybe you have like an actual page where, like, say for example, if I click here, it will open up a different page with more details, right? So the types of descriptions and where they live on your website will determine how long the descriptions are. You don't want to basically create a website where all the pages are filled with so much information that it gets like overwhelming, right? And again, a good designer, if you work with someone, they're gonna tell you like, hey, can we make this a little shorter, or they're gonna make some edits to it depending on what's needed. And so in summary, as I have it here, descriptions are key to informing visitors, attracting more traffic, boosting sales. So please be clear, specific, and benefit focused. Again, so we were just talking about where things live. Like we are just talking about like, oh, if it's on the main page, it may be shorter than on a product page, right? So organizing where things live is important. If I was you, even if you haven't already started building the website, you can sit through and think, okay, exactly do I want to have on my website? Start brainstorming. You could make like a little chart where you're like, okay, well, first I want my main website. On the main website, I want to have these things. So make a list under that, right? And then be like, okay, from those things, I want to have like the products. And when people click on the products, I want it to open up to this page. And in this page, I want to have these things, right? And so you could already start organizing your content based, and then that creates kind of like a flow or a flow of traffic, right? How people learn to navigate your website. And simplicity is always best. The easier it is to navigate your website, the better and the quicker you will make sales, or get to the point, right? If you notice, a great example of this is Google, Apple, Microsoft, all of these major companies that spend millions, if not, I would say even billions on like a web development, right? On great graphic designers, on great web developers and all of this. They basically focus on getting to the point and making things digestible. You don't want to overwhelm people. So when it comes to again, I didn't change that topic. I'm so sorry. When it comes to organizing your content, write your titles and include keywords that you want to use. Use an active voice to address the reader directly. Cover topics in a logical order to keep only the topics related to the keywords. This has to do again with the copy stuff and helping the SEO. Using the H1 marks and creating subtitles with H2 and H6. Again, this is getting a little bit more details, but H1 is kind of like the font type. So if you notice, there's like title fonts, and then there's description fonts, and then there's like even the little fonts. So if you notice, if you use Word at all or any like Google Docs to type any documents, there's usually like various types of options for the same font, and a font will come in different thicknesses. It will come in different like how thin it is, how wide they are, how decorated they are. And so these are described by these marks basically H1, H2 through 6. And it's just a way of describing the type of typography. Consider adding tables of contents to the end where you basically explain exactly what people just read. Maybe I don't want to like go and read an entire paragraph. Maybe I just want to go and find links to products at the bottom of your screen. Also, maybe add like the list and dots to organize your copy and stuff. Use dark text to create emphasis. Include both outbound and internal links. This means that links that drive people to other pages in your website or links that drive people outside of your website. However, I would recommend always keep people in your website. You rarely want to send people outside of your website because then you're gonna have to somehow get them back, and that's not a good thing to do. And then use unique titles and strong descriptions. Again, I would use some kind of reviewing system, whether that's ChatGPT or whether that's a peer or whether you used YouTube to figure out what are the proper more searched words. Whatever way it is, figure out what words fit your product or services best, especially in your industry, and then use those words to try to kind of piggyback on the promotion and the traffic that's already created by your competitors. So in summary, descriptions are key to informing visitors, attracting more traffic, boosting sales. And then yeah, let's just continue. Okay, so it looks like we're 30 minutes in. This is gonna be our first break. I think I don't know, are we a little bit early? I think.
Alex, I think we're right on time. We could probably even do a 10-minute break.
Okay. Yeah, let's just do a 10-minute break, I think. And then we will be coming back at exactly 6:40. I'll give you those extra 2 minutes. When we come back, we're gonna hop on a little bit about the different types of websites. Again, this first section was all about what the heck is a website? Why do I need one and how do I choose the right one, right? Now we're gonna talk about the different options and everything that has to do with the cost associated, what one platform gives you over the other, and all of those details. So again, if you could please not leave the meeting, you could just keep muted, turn off your camera, and then just come back. And then I will set a timer on the screen that you could take a look at. And then yeah, I'll see you at 6:40. Took a bit. Okay, yeah. Now we will be transitioning to learning about the various platforms and the website hosts available and how to choose the one that best fits you and your business, right? So, like I said, the first part of this presentation was all about what goes in the websites, why you want specific things, the way you should, kind of like how to prep for choosing your website, right? Now we're going to learn a little bit more about, now that you understand what you need and what to have ready when going to build your website. Now we're going to talk about the various options available and why you want to choose a platform over the other one, right? So let me just go ahead and get started by sharing my screen.
Alex, I'm so sorry. It does look like we have a question in the chat. Maria, feel free to unmute yourself and go ahead and ask it if you'd like.
Hey, hola
Hola.
Juan, hola Alex, ¿cómo están? Sí, yo tengo ya mi tienda en línea, entonces yo le tomo fotografías con mi teléfono a un par de aretes y las subo muy bien, pero cuando le tomo la fotografía a un collar o unos productos más grandes, no me deja. La trato de subir, me dice que le corte, me pongo y le corto, pero al cortarle ya estoy cortando el producto. Y ese es el problema, que yo no hallo el tamaño de la fotografía para poder subirla de productos más grandes. No, no me deja.
Uh, I think I would recommend maybe trying to lower the resolution of the photo. There are a few websites where you could like modify photos, edit photos. So maybe use, for example, Canva. There's a free version of Canva. You can upload the photo and then download it at a lower resolution. And maybe with that way, it will be able to like keep the correct dimensions, but also be accepted by the website provider that you're using. I think that's what I can think of right now. What do you think, Alex?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to go in the AI route, you could just put it into like ChatGPT and be like, hey, convert this image into this and this resolution. And it will give you it will give you a product or a file that will be exactly what you need. So again, two different options. One saves the earth some water. The other one, you know. Okay, let me go ahead and get started. Thank you. That was a great question. Yeah, photography and content and all of that, it takes quite a bit of knowledge. But if you don't have it, also if you just have questions, I would just recommend YouTube. Go to YouTube and ask, how do I lower the resolution of a picture on my what and what phone? Or if you're on a computer, you could put the model of your computer in, and they'll give you like a bunch of options. Use the web, use your resources, use like whatever search engines you can to do your research to be able to gain more knowledge. And if you actually go out and learn it yourself, well, then you'll learn how to do it and you won't ever have to ask anyone else. Let me start sharing my screen. Are you seeing my screen by any chance?
You know,
O sea
we
que
need
tengo
a
que
15-minute
buscar
break.
una aplicación que me ayude con el tamaño de la foto.
Yes, correct. So I would try to use espérame, me cambié de oops. Sorry. Yes, that's correct. You have to use I would recommend you use Canva because it's free, Canva. And like upload the image there, and then when you download it, it'll ask you for like the resolution, which is like however many pixels by however many pixels, like 500 by 500. So maybe you want to like reduce that to 100 and 100, and then the amount of like data the image has is going to be lower, and maybe that's going to help the website accept it.
And I see that Melina and Molly, thank you, Molly and Melina, for linking that website there. Yeah, that's great. Thanks. Great use of the chat. Okay, is the presentation back up? Can you see the 15-minute? Yeah? Okay, great. Let me
Yeah.
go ahead and get started. All right, so like I mentioned, now we're gonna transition. Let's just, kind of hop off that topic and now go into this. So which platform is right for you, and for your website? Let's go ahead and get started. I'll get started with this one. So choosing a platform for your website. When choosing a platform, you want to consider a few different things, right? You want to consider the purpose and the goal of what you need it for. You basically got to understand what the purpose of your website is, and you got to make sure that the platform aligns with those goals, right? Certain different platforms are used for different things. For example, if you know already a little bit about websites, like Shopify is mainly used for like selling products. Versus if you were like on, say, like Wix or Squarespace, which is more to like build a generic website. And then there's also like the usage of like single page websites, which may just be like just like an information newsletter where you don't need much, you just need something basic. So there are various options, but understanding what you need it for is the first step you need to take, right? So ask yourself that, okay, what am I trying to do with my website? Am I trying to make sales? Am I trying to connect with clients? Am I trying to display pictures and, results? Am I trying to collect reviews? So think of all those usages, right? Also, think about the ease of use. Consider how technical or your technical experience. Certain platforms require a little bit more knowledge to be able to build on the websites. Like I was saying earlier, sometimes you may need a little bit of coding, but if you're using one of these platforms like Wix or Squarespace or even Shopify, these have already pre-built settings that will allow you to just plug in and play. Um, then also consider is your goal to like grow? Like if you want to like reach more people, certain platforms are actually better for like searchability versus other. So you want to ensure that it's basically sustainable for future expansions in case you want to like say for example, right now I only want to like showcase pictures of my product. I don't really want to do sales. I'm not really ready to ship or to do any of that, right? But you are planning on getting there, right? You don't want a website that doesn't offer e-commerce. You want a website that offers it, but perhaps you just don't use it yet. So you always got to think about the future, think about the needs that your company is going to need in the future rather than now. Because otherwise, if you don't go with something you're going to need in the future, then you're going to have to transfer all of the information and data from one website to the other, which is just going to be a huge hassle for you. So again, sit down, think about what you need it for, and then that will help you kind of like ensure that you're on a platform that is going to benefit you long term. The last part of it is just the customization and flexibility. How easy is it to make changes, right? Because let's just say you hired someone to build you this website, but then all of a sudden they give you the ownership and they tell you, oh, it's gonna be 500 for any edit. You don't have $500, right? You want to make sure that the platform is very easy to use and that is user friendly, so that you can make those changes. One thing that I would recommend is if you do hire someone to build your website, schedule a meeting or perhaps pay them a little fee to like spend some time teaching you how to make simple edits. So you just kind of like pre-plan and tell them like, hey, can you teach me how to make edits to my pictures, to my costs, to my descriptions, all of these different things. But honestly, like the easiest way to like learn how to do something is probably YouTube. Like you could just literally type like, how do I change the price of my product on Squarespace? And then there's plenty, hundreds and hundreds of videos of people explaining how to do that. If not, the platform themselves most likely already have trainings on how to do these edits.
Very well said, Alex. Honestly, like this conversation is kind of reminding me that like as a business owner, you gotta be a little bit of um like have knowledge in every area of the business, right? Like you might be able to like just hire someone to build your website, but then if you don't know how to edit it, that's a problem. Like, right? Like if you want to make a simple edit. And the same goes for like if you have an accountant and you just give all your financial paperwork to the accountant, you don't know really anything about that side of the business. So I think like just the truth of being a business owner is like learning a little bit about everything. So don't be afraid to like learn how to use these platforms. Here we have we have a question first from Letty, and then I'll continue with the how to choose the platform for your website.
Yeah, so the question is, can we buy a domain and still use a provider like Canva and Shopify? So let me make two things clear real quick. A domain, basically, like I said, it's almost like an ID number. Think about it like a license plate, right? Only you have this number, this name, which is why you pay, basically, so that no one else can take it. And in fact, something that's kind of scary is that if you stop paying, it goes back into the market and someone can actually purchase that name from you. So you really want to make sure that you continuously pay that every year, so that you could continually own that domain. And the more popular domains end up costing a lot more, and so there's various things that go into play with that. But to answer your question, Canva is a service provider, right? So what Canva is basically they're selling you a service or an ease to do something or to perform an action or to perform edits, right? So they're basically selling a service to you. A provider or a website host, what they're selling is the ability to build on their digital platform to host your website. So one hosts the website, the other one is selling you a service. So technically, there's no correlation or association between your domain and like Canva. Canva is completely separate. You don't need a domain to be able to use Canva. But Shopify is a platform or a host where you do need to basically link a domain. And so why you link it there is so that once you have this website built, you use this license plate, quote unquote, to be able to easily be found or to drive traffic to what you've already built on their platform. So again, one you could use to like basically create things, edit things, and so you're buying kind of like their product in a way, you're kind of buying their services versus the other one, which they're only allowing you to create and host a set of services on their platform.
And also I wanted to point out that a lot of the times when you use the website providers, they already like purchase the domain for you. So like that fee is already included in the fee that they charge you for their service. So you don't have to like do it twice or anything like that. And yeah, Canva is a great image editor. But we have another question from Letty though.
Let me see.
But like she hasn't seen type it in the chat. She's raised her hand. Sorry, Letty,
Oh,
go
okay.
ahead.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Leti, go ahead.
Sí, era referente a lo que habían comentado anteriormente sobre, bueno, yo al principio les dije que alguien me hizo una página web, pero por no pagar, ya no lo estoy, o puedo abrirlo y mirar lo principal, pero yo no puedo navegar ya. En este caso, como no lo hice yo, como bien dijo Juan y el otro presentador, que yo no puedo hacer nada porque no está como, no es nada mío. El nombre y todo lo demás yo lo puse, pero la persona que lo creó, él tiene todo. Entonces, eso significa que si yo retomo o hago otra página web, yo ya no puedo utilizar ese dominio. Me imagino, tengo que volver de cero o algo así. Sí puedo recuperarlo.
Uh, Honestly, it depends on like who is this person that did this service for you. Because if they are like a professional, you should be able to like ask for the credentials to log in, and you can manage the subscription yourself. So like if you want to continue payment, you continue payment, right? If this is like a scammer, then maybe yes, they will keep the domain, and in that case, you gotta like start again and do a different website with a different domain and just like do it yourself this time, or like with someone that you trust. But yeah, depending on like the situation, the relationship you have with this person or provider that you're working with, I say like pretty normally like you should be able to like ask for the credentials since it's your website and just log in yourself and manage the payments and the subscription by yourself.
Yeah, so just to add to that, basically, like Juan said, it really depends now on the designer or creator whether they want to give you access. But what you need to request if you do have access to them is a transfer of ownership. You basically want them to assign you as the owner via your email. And then if they still want to make edits, you could set them as an admin. However, you want to basically be the owner of that website. And so what does they have to actually log in through the website host main profile. Um, if you're not sure, maybe I don't know, I'm not too sure how they build your website, but if they use your personal email to create the website, then you are the owner. Perhaps you just don't have the login credentials to log in, so you just need to request like the password to be able to log in, right? Um, but if they use their personal email to create your website and then they just took your URL that you already paid for and then they added it to the website they built, but it was built under their email, then they are the owners and they need to do a transfer of ownership of the website, which basically they need to assign your email as the primary email to that website. Um,
And also, if they did it like that, it's like super shady and not normal, right? Like if you're paying for a service, someone should be able to like provide it for you, and like you have ownership of that now.
Yeah. So yeah, I would really love if you want to send us like an email maybe with like some kind of like quick tips as to how to kind of approach that situation. Feel free to email us at empresarios@haciendacdc.org. We'll have the email at the end. I could send you a quick response via email just as to like how you should approach it and what exactly you should ask from the designer. But yeah, basically what you want is ownership of that of that website.
So, well, let's continue with the things that you need to consider when you choose a platform. Like I said before, SEO, search engine optimization. Like, why do I repeat this so much? Because it is very important. You want to be at the top of the search. So look for platforms that support search engine optimization, like best practice. They must allow customization of metadata, responsiveness, and fast loading, crucial details with programs with which platforms are categorized. Safety is another thing that Alex mentioned before. There's like different certification, like SSL certification that basically like tells your browser that like this is a safe website, that like the data is encrypted, that they're not gonna like steal like your credit card information and such. So yeah, making or choosing a provider that has like a high rating for safety will be beneficial to your brand as well. So look for that when you're doing your research on the different providers. We are going to talk about like a few of the providers that are like the most common, but that doesn't mean you have to choose from those. You can choose your own and do your own research. Cost and budget, obviously, like there are platforms that are going to be free. There are platforms that are going to cost money, and everything in between, right? So make sure that like the platform that you are choosing has the right tools that you need for conducting your business, and then like make a decision on like the budget and like how much you can afford, right? So that's always important to consider. And support and community. What is the customer support provided by the platform like? Do they have community forums? Do they have training videos? Do they respond to your inquiries like fast? Like also like that is something to take into account, because let's say you have a situation like the one that we just heard tonight, and you want to reach to the website provider and be like, hey, I'm the real owner of this website, blah blah blah. Like if they have good customer support, they will be able to also like fix this situation for you. So make sure that you choose a provider that is strong in these areas.
Exactly. And to the question that someone asked earlier about why we have to pay every month, this is what you're paying. You're paying basically this company to be there to support you, to have security on your website, to have like support from community members, safety, all of these things. That's what you're paying for, so that your website just exists and people just kind of visit it, right? All right. Again, just kind of piggybacking on what Juan has kept saying, integration, plugins, this is like how much can you actually change? Some websites don't really allow you to edit them much. Some websites do. Some websites like allow you to like fully customize it. Is that good or bad, right? Well, do you know how to deal with all of these things? If you say like maybe no, I'm not too tech savvy, Well, maybe you want to go with a simple option, right? Something that you just kind of like navigate super simple, like drag and drop this here, move that there. Or if you want to get like super, super like advanced with it, there's certain platforms that allow you to add like 3D animations that like pop up on the screen when you open it, that like morph into specific images. There's like cool things that websites can do. It's just how much do you actually know how to do and how much do you actually know how to use? So again, integrations and plugins, that's what these are called. How much can you change the website, right? Host and operations, these basically help you determine if the platform allows you to host or if you need to make another arrangement to do so. What hosting means is it means that it allows you to go public with your website. So as the person that I think it was Letty who asked the question. Right now, your website, since no one can visit it, it's because it's not published. So it exists. You have the link. You can visit it as someone who perhaps is an admin to it, but the general public doesn't have access to it, right? And so in order to make this public is also why you pay, right? Because you're allowing the host to be the one to make your website public. And in future migration, how easy is it to download your data? If you guys remember earlier, I talked about it's important to have a document with all the information, perhaps even folders with the pictures. If you really want to be outstanding and really like, organized, you can even like create a document, kind of like your notes as to I want page one to be here and then this to open up here, this to open up there. Create a set of folders that's like main page and then dump all the content that's on the main page there. And then maybe like products, another folder where you just have a bunch of product images, right? What is this going to help is if you ever choose to switch for some reason, say like one host got too expensive, like all of a sudden it's like twice the amount, and you want to switch to a cheaper one or a more simple one, then you have all of that data kind of like in one place to keep organized. Or if you just want to make edits, you know where to find those things.
And now we're going to move on to the next slide because we're going to talk about specific website providers. So I'll talk about Weebly and Shopify. And honestly, I have experience with Shopify because that's the one that I use for my website. But if I had the chance to do it over again, I would maybe like try a few different platforms because I use that one. That's the one I know. But what I have no idea if there's a different one that might be cheaper and better, or just better or easier to use, right? So if you have that opportunity to like maybe experiment with like the free versions of all the ones that we're going to talk about, or maybe beyond that, I recommend you do that because then that'll help. That'll narrow it down, right? Like which provider should you use? Well, the one that you like the best, like if you're testing with all of them. But yeah, we're talking about Weebly here. There's a few things in favor. It integrates with Square as it's a popular platform with Square is like a point of sale system that is very popular. It integrates with Weebly and stores their processing their payments inside of Weebly. So if you ever gone to like a market, you have people like charging people with the Square, like that is like super common point of sale system. So that is an integration that might be interesting to you if you use it. They also have a drag and drop editor that is easy to use and it saves your work automatically. Let's say the power went out. I don't know, just thinking about some function that would help you with. I guess is that there's little personification. I guess you can't really like change many things. This is like from some research that we did. Like I said, I don't personally use it, but I guess this is some criticisms that it has. A few tools for long-term growth. Like this platform might be good if you're just starting, but let's say if you need to like process different, I don't know, like shipping stuff or payments or whatever, like it might not be the one for you. And also like that might have changed. So I just want you to like go check it out and it might not be the case. Like there's updates every day on these providers, so maybe now it works, right? and they also say it's not as intuitive. So use it if you're already using Square, or if you're planning to sell in a store instead of an online commerce site. Like I remember, Alex, you mentioned earlier that some businesses are just going to want to have a website as like a digital like introduction, right? Or like a business card, right? So if that's the case, maybe Weebly is for you because it apparently does not have much of an e-commerce infrastructure as much as other sites. So it's also a budget platform. And yeah, maybe you want to give it a shot. We also can, on the next slide, we'll see the website features. So we can see the
Let me just add a little bit to here to the Weebly, Juan. I would recommend Weebly if you are a service provider and not necessarily selling anything, a physical thing, right? Like say for example, I don't know, you do like cleaning, or if for example you do like some kind of construction where all you're doing is you're just showcasing information, right? It's just kind of like a newspaper where it's like, oh, I open it up and I just browse, read about it. I get your phone number there, maybe I get your email there, and that's pretty much it, right? Simple to the point. That will keep costs down and all of that. It might not have as much insights, which is something that's very beneficial later on. But yeah, again, we'll talk about the details here.
And as you can see here, Weebly does have a free plan. And the free plan includes the SSL security, like we were talking about earlier, codes from third parties, a shopping cart, an unlimited number of things, inventory management, pickup in store. So maybe it doesn't have maybe the infrastructure to like ship stuff, but like they can buy it and then they can come pick it up wherever you are, right? It could also have coupons, gift cards, SEO integrations, leads from Instagram, chat and email support. And that is just with the free plan. Then you have more plans. I'm not going to read all of it, but we are going to be sharing this presentation with all of you. So if you want to have like more details on this, just go into the presentation, check the features that each of them have and the pricing. I mean, I think this might be a little dated, but I think it should be still around this, and like also just consider Weebly as like a budget option, right? Including a free plan. So maybe I encourage you to try it.
Yeah, I was gonna just to like be to reiterate what you said. Visit the website themselves, because sometimes too, what happens is that they actually give promotions. So maybe like during the holidays, sometimes they do like 30% off on a yearly plan, or maybe they do like pay by month today, and then so visit them, check them out, learn about it, see what has changed. The other thing is, if you don't have time to do your research manually on all of this, again, YouTube. You can just go to YouTube and put like comparison of the different website hosts for service providers or for retail stores. And I guarantee you someone out there has made a video comparing these platforms and their features. More to
And I
detail
think
than just this.
and I think Alex, this is another great case study of like use of AI, right? If you tell an AI agent that like your business is this, and this, and requires these other things, and like these are your needs, it might be able to like filter through like some options that you want to check out, right? So yeah, another use way you could use it.
Awesome. So now I'll take Wix on. Wix is actually kind of like, it's in my heart because it was actually the first website host that I ever used. When I first started creating a website for myself as a multimedia artist. So for those of you who don't know, I do like a bunch of other things outside of work here. And so I create a bunch of websites. I have a lot of expertise doing this. So I've tried a bunch of these other platforms. Wix definitely, I would say, is one of the most simple ones to use. They're very easy to kind of like navigate. It's very easy to see even here, like it's an easy to use platform. It's very attractive. So the way Wix works is they utilize a bunch of templates, right? So they have a bunch of designers out there who already build websites, and they build like the structure, like the bones and body to it, right? And so what happens is that when you pay for Wix, you get access to a bunch of these different websites, and there's like a catalog, like, oh, are you a restaurant? Are you a construction business? Are you whatever, a social, like, are you a creative? Are you a streamer? Are you an artist? There's a bunch of templates that you can choose from. You choose a template, and then basically all you go in and do is you replace images. You're like, oh, this is the main page, you replace it. So again, there's a lot of shapes, a lot of customizable things, but it's very easy to use, especially as someone who's making the edits yourself. Where it gets a little bit tricky, or kind of like the things against it, is that there's no third-party integrations or plugins for aligned e-commerce tools, at least not for the free versions. I believe that at this point in time, they've most likely already integrated e-commerce aspect to it. But if you are just looking just at the base model, you're basically gonna get just a very simple usage, templates, and then the other thing that happens if you get the free one on Wix is that the Wix logo actually appears on your website. It doesn't disappear. So when you pay for a website, you remove that watermark, is what they call them. And then that way, no one really knows what you built it through. And then, it kind of just becomes your own website. There's also no way to really increase the number of commercial products online through it. You get like a limited amount of number of products you could upload, so you can't just like kind of keep scaling. However, again, this is kind of information as to like maybe like a year ago. I would double check and see exactly what is available now. And then sometimes it could be a little bit slow, especially with videos. Photos, not so much. Photos really is like once they're up there, it just kind of becomes like a staker. But videos, if it's on the free plan, it usually takes a little bit to process. So yeah, when would you use Wix? I would say use Wix if your focus is not gonna be online trading or selling. If you do not have the bandwidth to add like a huge amount of information or like blogs or things to the website. If you want more flexibility with your website design, that's a huge plus. I would say use it then. And then yeah, if you need functionality with bookings, forms, or events, that's also a great place to do it. Again, this is more like that bullet board type of host. And if you want your consumers to be able to go to your accounts on your website, oh yeah, so that's the other thing. Wix allows you to create accounts. So if you do subscriptions, like say for example, you were in like I'm an artist and I do like monthly drops of videos, monthly trainings, and then I want to create like a account. It almost becomes like a social platform where you could create an account and subscribe and you pay a membership fee and then you receive this information. Um, yeah, I see some people here already using Wix. Someone asked, oh, Letty is letting us know that that is the one that she uses, and they charged her 250 to renew the price. Yep. So Letty, I think another thing that you paid with those 250 was most likely the creation of the website as well, and the hosting. Here are the plans per month. Again, if you do this, usually the 16 per month is if you pay monthly, on the light plan. The free plan, you basically just get kind of like a template, right? Like just something basic, not much. If you pay for the light plan, you're basically paying for like a full year. $16 per month. Usually it ends up being more expensive at the end of the month if you're paying per month than if you were to do a one-time payment per year. So I would really do a comparison by visiting the link, going and checking them out, seeing what exactly they have to offer. And again, like Juan said, I won't go ahead and read all of the details as to like basically what you get, but just know that you are getting the security of the hosting. You're getting like a cloud drive where you could store information on. This is, Letty, what you need. What basically you should have done is created a collaborator with your designer so that he was able to edit while you maintain the control, right? Because that way you can boot them out whenever you want it, and stuff like that. I think in your case, what happened, it was kind of backwards where you just gave them all the information, they were the owners and made you a collaborator, where now you have no control if they choose to remove controls from you. And then again, another thing that you're paying for when you pay for a service is you're getting customer support. You're getting lead captures and you're getting temp spaces. And then of course, the better the plan, the more features you get, right? You could upload up to, dang, 50,000 products, it looks like. Or yeah. Yeah, that's quite a bit. Anyways, read through these. You'll be able to kind of like see the different options. But you could see the business elite plan. I'm assuming this is kind of like what you did, or maybe like a business plan is probably what you ended up doing. Um, but yeah, I would send us a message and I can try to help you out, Letty. But yeah, I would say Wix, if you want a little bit more, not so simple, not so basic, you want to have some control, you want to collaborate with others, you want to create like cool things, you still want to maybe sell products in the future. Wix is definitely a good start to get going.
Y, y bueno, sorry, I was I was like looking at the Wix website to send it, but maybe someone can help me out and just send the Wix plans on the chat for um Lady to look at. But yeah, now we're gonna talk about Shopify. And Shopify, like I said, I do have some information on because it's the one that I've been using. So let me look at the next slide whenever you get a chance. So yeah, like there's some things in favor. People have been saying for years that Shopify is the best e-commerce website. Like they're heavily like focused on e-commerce. I did find it to be like even still a bit confusing, but that doesn't mean like maybe the other websites aren't more confusing, right? But I think like for me, where I worked was I was able to like put the website all together. It's not like the most professional or the most cleanest website, but like I did like an honest job, I guess. And then for the little things that I didn't know how to do, I hired someone like specifically for that task. And in my case, it was figuring out like the shipping rates. So yeah, like Alex said earlier, I hired this person. I gave them like certain permissions to edit my website, and then once our like I paid and the service was over, I removed the permissions, right? But it's been working ever since. So it has some good free templates. I honestly wish they were more customizable. Maybe the one that I chose isn't, but I don't know. I feel like there are other websites that like maybe are more customizable than Shopify. But again, their strength is that e-commerce infrastructure, right? They have again increased prices for different plans. Yeah, you might be paying like the cheapest plan they have. I think is like $5, and it's really nice and like easy because it's just you sell through your social media. Like you can do sales through your Instagram, and I think like that's the cheapest because you don't need to actually have a website. But then like as you go up, the price starts to increase, and it could go from like 30 a month to like close to 200 a month, like depending on what plan are you on. And some of the times they like paywall these features. For example, one of them was the like advanced shipping instructions is paywall behind like the biggest plan that they have. So then you have to find workarounds to make it work on like the cheaper plan. For that, you need to like get someone that like actually knows what they're doing within Shopify. But yeah, I think like if your product, like if your focus is e-commerce, you want to be able to like sell your product and ship your product to people. Shopify is a good provider to use. You also, like I said, if you want to integrate with social media, this is also the platform to use. And yeah, it has other features that might make e-commerce really easy for you. So I think it's worth taking a look. Now we're gonna see the plan. So yeah, the basic plan is 29 a month if it's billed annually. So like I said earlier, I made a mistake. I think 250 is probably okay for like these plans if it's billed annually. Um, and then you can see like the basic plan continued, then the small business plan, and then the advanced plan, which, like I said, a lot of features are behind those plans. So depends on like the type of business you have. I feel like for most of like small businesses, uh, in Portland, we could just get away with the basic plan. If you become like a mid-sized business or like like a regional level seller, then maybe you want to look into like the more advanced plans for sure.
I just want to add a little bit more about Shopify because I'm a huge lover of Shopify, although I don't use it. The reason why is just because, I mean, I guess as empresarios, our a lot of our clients are consumer packaged goods, or people who sell a product. And so Shopify, again, like Juan has already mentioned many times, it's specifically if you are looking to sell online, right? So again, they don't have a lot of these editing and making your websites like super cool and like all of these gadgets and stuff like that. In order to do that, you do need a little more expertise. But what they do is they simplify the shopping experience, right? They simplify how you navigate the website itself, the checking out process, the selecting various items at once, having different combos of items. So they simplified the shopping process. So again, their focus is if your focus is selling online, Shopify is your way to go. If your focus is to capture or kind of create accounts for clients and display information, then perhaps Wix is the best option. And if your idea is just to put information out for the sake of information, then I would go with Weebly. So you could see that they start kind of upgrading in terms of what they're used for the more we proceed. And then
And
that will bring us to the next one, which is
And Alex, before we do that real quick, I want to say you're absolutely right. Shopify does have integration with I think it's an app called Shop. And whenever I buy something that like has that integration, it's so easy to buy. Like they remove all the friction. I just like open it, click buy. It asks me for like my Apple Pay. I just click my button twice and I bought it, you know? So yeah, this definitely will remove a lot of the friction of like buying something online.
Mhm. And so now we can talk about Squarespace, like I mentioned. First one, Weebly. Weebly was the simple one, right? Weebly is like the newspaper one. Let's just put out information for the sake of information. Say, for example, you were, I don't know, a text preparer where you just kind of wanted people to read about you, or maybe you were like a news anchor, you just want to use it as a portfolio. Weebly is something simple to use, right? If you wanted to create like more of a cool website where you could edit a bunch of things and add a bunch of pictures, carousels, you maybe wanted to sell some products here and there, like, you kind of wanted to mix kind of like a social media, then Wix is probably the best bet for that. If your goal is ultimately just selling products and services, Shopify is the best. And then in my opinion, the best of them all, this is my personal opinion, don't pin me to it, but Squarespace is the best that encapsulates everything into one. I personally use Squarespace for my own personal website. It has a bunch of features and it allows a bunch of functionalities. And the other thing is that they work really, really well with Google, which will just in terms help you to be more searchable. But let's dive down a little deeper into it. In favor, to get started, you do get a free trial. I'm not too sure if they have a continuous free trial. I think in order to have your website published, you do need to have the paid version. So that is kind of like a downside, but you do get 14 days, like 2 weeks to be able to test it out to see if it functions the way it does. There's the ready to use templates similar to Wix, right? You could like basically, oh, I don't know how to build it. It's fine. They have designers who have already created beautiful websites that you could just kind of use and make them your own. The other benefit to these templates is that in Squarespace, unlike Wix, you could customize these templates as much as you want. This means that you could change things, you could add things, you could copy things from one website and add it to your website. And then you could integrate a bunch of other things. They also allowed for coding on the actual platform. So you could actually, like, if you're good enough with technology in that way, you can actually start coding into the actual design of Wix, not Wix, of Squarespace. So yeah, it will allow you to do all that, but it's also easy to use like a drag and drop editor. So in my opinion, Squarespace is for both people who don't know much and for experts who like know so much that they could customize a website however they choose, right? Against them, the user experience for some and the background features are hard to learn. This is what I was talking about, the background features. This is more if you're a coder, if you like know how to make different types of edits that you rarely see. Like for example, when you scroll down, make like the page spin around instead of just sliding down, right? These are features that require a little bit of plugging. But they do allow that functionality, which for some people that's like amazing, right? Some people need that. But for you, if you're just kind of getting started, you don't necessarily need to use it, but it's available. However, just know that you are paying to have it. And again, the role of e-commerce is kind of limited on Squarespace. Squarespace, basically, you get less products and you have to pay more to have those products, right? So like on the base price, you only get like a limited amount of products you could sell versus like Shopify, which is like on the base price, you get to like, I don't know, have like 30 products, I think, or something like that. Squarespace may limit it to like only half of that amount. Um, so again, when should you use Squarespace? I would use it if your focus is selling products, digital or physical. So here you could actually sell subscriptions. You could actually do like a bunch of different types of services that you could sell, or you could actually sell the physical products. If you have bandwidth to create blogs, like you want to make it like where people come and read weekly what's going on, like you want to upload a bunch of pictures, they have a cloud drive that you could use. If you need the flexibility of website design, like, you just kind of want just the basics, that's also fine. And then online courses, that's what I was mentioning earlier with Wix. You can also do that here on Squarespace. And then people can also create their own accounts on your website. So for example, if you want to create like members only function, right? Like, oh, I'm doing like specials in the holidays, but only if you're a member do you get access to these coupons, to these discounts. But in order to do that, it does take a little bit more knowledge to be able to set that up. So, it's not as easy, but the benefit is that they do offer these things. Again, so we're going to go a little bit more about the business plans. You can see that the starting price for this one is the business plan at 23 months per month annually. So if you multiply that by 12, that will give you your month annual total. Or you could pay the higher amount per month. When you would want to pay per month is like, oh, I don't know if I want to keep the website all year, right? Or maybe you're a seasonal vendor where your business is only functioning half of the year. Then maybe do per month because then you won't have to pay the whole year. And then, of course, they continue going up, and then also the features that you get access to continue going up. You can see here on the business plan, if you do just get the business plan, there is a transaction fee for when you make sales. So that's a huge downside to other like retailers. Because if you're thinking of your cost per goods, of your cost of production, or your cost or your revenue, you got to start taking, even though it's 3%, that 3% will total up if it's like 1,000 products, right? And that's gonna eat up at your income that's coming in and all of that. So it's important to consider that. So do the math. You could break down the cost and be like, okay, well, considering that I have to pay 3%, is it better to just do the annual payment or to just increase the subscription to the higher option? Because then you're basically covering the 3% transaction that they would charge you anyway. So it is important to like review it. It is important to kind of like take those things into account because you might actually end up paying more by getting the cheaper one per se. Not cheaper, but the more simple one. Okay. So that brings us to the end of the website available and what we basically recommend. Again, those are 4 different options. So let me just recap just for the sake of recapping. We have Weebly, which if you want to consider it to the basics, the premises of it, it's just like a newspaper. Use it as like informational where someone could just go in and learn about your business, right? Then we have Wix. Wix is where you could get more customizable, where you can actually play with the design of your website, where you could actually offer like services, where you could actually create more links, more plugins. It's actually more of a website, right? It may be limited to the amount of pages and all of that, but it is a better option. Then we have Shopify, which is if your goal is to make online sales, if your goal is to just strictly generate revenue by selling a product or a service. Shopify is the best way. Why? Because it simplifies the shopping experience and the friction behind making those transactions, right? ¿Qué son palabras claves? I'll answer that in a second. But yeah, and then lastly we have Squarespace, which Squarespace basically, in my opinion, is the more advanced of them all, just because it basically has all of the features that you will ever need. If your goal is thinking long term and your goal is like, oh, I don't know where my website is going, but I know eventually I will need to do e-commerce. I know eventually I will want to do subscription plans. I know eventually I will want to make blogs, newsletters. I will want to have like the cloud drive where I upload my images and they stay there so I could switch them depending on the seasons, right? You don't have to store it in your computer. You could store it on like Squarespace and stuff. They have their own cloud drive, depending on what subscription you get, of course. But again, so they kind of like tier up the way you need them. If you do have any questions, you can always reference this back. But more than anything, I would just recommend that you go into the platform themselves, you browse the platforms, you actually take the time to compare them. And if you need more feedback, go to even YouTube and see what other people are saying. Or even ask your competitors, hey, what host are you using? Like maybe you like what someone is doing. It's usually people aren't afraid to like share what host they're using. Maybe they won't tell you exactly how they did something, but they will more than likely tell you what they're using. Okay, so now we're gonna get into Google. Um,
And
Google,
Alex, I do want to just give a time check. We've got about 30 minutes left, and I know there's quite a few slides here.
yeah, Google, the good thing about Google is that technically it's only two sections that we're gonna cover. And these slides I'm gonna skip through. I won't be reading through the entire thing, because it is more of a reference. What I want to let you know is that if you wish to list your company, your products, if you wish to like basically be able to be found on Google, you're in luck because basically we're offering the opportunity for us or for me to walk you one-on-one to listing your product or business on Google. So again, keep this in mind. And matter of fact, after I'm done explaining what Google Business Profile and Google Merchant is, I will ask you guys who is interested in scheduling a one-on-one meeting so that I can meet with you and so that we could get your business on Google. Again, this is completely free. It's gonna take like maybe like an hour of your time. But what it will do is that when anyone searches your product, they're going to be able to show your product on Google or maybe go directly to your website. Yeah, Jason, awesome. Yeah, actually, yeah, go ahead and put it on the chat if you can, if you are interested in this service. However, let me just explain a little bit more about the two different services options that we could go, the two different routes with Google. All right, so oh, I love Google. All right, so what is Google, right? How do I know that I need it? If people are trying to find you on Google, you need a business profile. Like, for example, have you ever been on Google and you're like, tacos near me? Or maybe you put like soccer parks near me, or you put bars near me, and you see this little profile? That's what Google Business Profile is, exactly what it does. It allows people to be able to find your business on the Google Maps. This is only specifically for physical locations, or anyone that has somewhere where clients can visit. If your goal is to sell your products, like to be able to find your products on the little Google like menu, then that's Google Merchant Center. But this basically means that you're only selling online, right? But first, let's talk about what Google Business Profile is. Again, this is Business Google Profile. When you type any kind of business around your area, like even if you like go to Seattle, your phone will actually automatically update the region depending on the service area that you provide on your profile. So say, for example, you're a construction company, or say you're a cleaning, or you're a daycare company, right? You can put I service people in Gresham, Washington, Clackamas, and all of this, right? So now when a client goes to Google and says, I want to find daycares near me, you are going to be one of these options like you see here. You will show up as an option where people can actually find your information, right? And then depending on what kind of information you add, you will be able to find addresses. You will be able to find basically photos, reviews, directions, post updates. And so here's basically the definition of what it is, right? What is it for? It's for helping people find your business locally on Google search and Google Maps. Who it's best for is best for restaurants, food carts, caterers, studios, service business, or anyone with a physical location or a service area. That's important to differentiate. And the thing is, if you don't know if it's a good fit for you, don't worry. Just put in the comments that you're interested, and I'll help you determine which one is the best for you during the meeting, right? But again, I'll just kind of continue because of the sake of time. Here's an example of how things look on the back end, right? So this is how you will see your profile. You will be able to change all of these things. You will also be able to see who is searching for your business, what is their age demographic, whether the gender of the people searching your business, and any kind of like information that you may need to kind of plan out who you promote to, right? Because ultimately your target market is how you know who you're selling to and how you generate more money and more service and more business. And again, this is what that ends up looking, right? And then now let's talk about Google Merchant. This is if your goal is only to sell online, but you don't have a physical location, you don't have a service area. This is what it looks like. Have you ever sometimes maybe looked up, I don't know, like let's just say that I looked up chairs, which chairs or something, right? And then you go on Google and all of a sudden you see like chairs by so and so, chairs by this other person, by this other person. If you're a jewelry maker, right? Maybe you could upload them here. And then when people find like handcrafted jewelry, your products will actually show up here. And if you notice here, they're different websites because they're different providers, they're different sellers. And so this ultimately is like a bridge from Google to your website. Think about it just that way. Basically, it is like a bullet board where people can click on the product and it will drive them directly to your website to be able to make the sales. So who is this perfect for, right? This is perfect for showing products for sale on Google and shopping, or maybe just showing up on the Google results. This is best for businesses selling physical products, online stores, packaged goods, and retails. It's also good for farmers market vendors, shelf-stable items. Usually, you rarely sell like things that expire pretty quick. But shelf-stable items this is a very good fit for you guys if you have a canned product, if you have anything that you could ship across the country, basically. It allows you to upload a catalog of products. It will also allow you to upload the shipping costs. You will be able to control pricings. You will be able to do a bunch of different things. But again, those are two different things. Google My Business is for people who have a physical location or service a specific area. And Google Merchant is for people selling products or goods to a wider general area. This is a quick comparison. I won't kind of read through it much. But again, if you need the purpose, local discovery versus product sales, where they show up on, who it's best for. Oh yeah, I guess this is a huge distinction actually. Reviews, reviews. I always tell people, gather as many reviews as you can about your products. The beautiful part about Google profile is that people can actually go and leave you reviews, right? You actually get a little QR code or a link that you can put, like you could put it at your door, you could put it in your business cards, you could put it on your website, your Instagram, on anywhere. And what that link will do is it will take them to your business profile where people are able to basically upload reviews like this. And then what this does is it creates a rating, and the higher your rating is, the more reviews you have, the more you're going to be the first option that will show up when people find the business that you have listed. And again, this is kind of just a quick recap of who may need it. If you sell at farmers markets, then I would say go ahead and use Google business profile and business profile and merchant, right? However, it's important that you don't list the specific address, but rather that you make it as a post. You can also add pictures of your photo booth, your market days descriptions, your website, and all of that. here's an example of how you would may want to list it. Like we'll be at PSU Farmers Markets on Saturday, right? Don't list the actual address, but just say where you're gonna be at. Um, Maybe you still need a business profile if you sell at a store. However, you're gonna set it as a service area and not as a service store or location, right? Again, don't worry about figuring this out and whether it fits you or doesn't. I will be able to guide you through this, and I will be able to help you determine what is best for you and your business. I just kind of need you to put the comment that you're interested so that I could follow up with you. And to summarize, if you're in farmers markets only, Google Business Profile is the way to go. If you're in farmers markets and grocery stores, Google Business Profile and not Merchant Center unless you are selling online. But if you're in farmers markets, grocery stores, and selling online, then you want to do both. Um, and again, here's the information. If you want to be proactive and you're like, oh man, I don't know when Alex is gonna message me. Maybe he likes to slack it off. Send me an email. This is the email so that you can message me. Feel free to send me an email even tonight or right now if you want. And just let me know, like, hey, I'm very interested in Google. What I'm gonna do then is follow up with you and schedule a date sometime, maybe even next week if I get your email soon enough. Otherwise, just please be patient with me. I will try to get to everyone that has mentioned that they're interested in. Um, but yeah, that's basically what Google Profile and Merchant are. Sorry, I kind of flashed through it because of time, but I will be able to walk you through what each of these things are in more detail during our meeting. And again, this is completely free. This is the benefit that you get for being part of this specific training. And so we really hope that you tap into it. With that, I mean, we ended like pretty much 15 minutes early, but thank you. Thank you for joining us, and I hope that you really got benefit out of it. Juan, I don't know if you want to add anything.
No, not really. Yes, thank you for showing up. I know it's hard to like go to work and then come to a class and then like where's your free time, right? But I think this is very important for any business owner to learn and like start dipping their toes in if they don't know much about it. And I think maybe I we would like open it up for questions for a little bit. If anyone has any questions, just either raise your hand, type it in the chat, or unmute yourself.